So normally I would start off these videos by saying welcome back or welcome to the pots, but in all honesty, it has been 3 weeks since I've been able to do a video for you guys. Absolute chaos over the last 3 weeks, but that's okay. I'm here, I'm back. We had 2 fairly significant family emergencies and a flu bug go running through the house. But you know what? I'm here, I'm behind the camera, I'm feeling motivated. It is time to get back into these pots. So, here in the pots today we have Captivating Cardinal. Not a brand new colorway, but definitely one of my favorites, especially during the cold season. I don't know why, but this colorway does absolutely amazing through the cold. So what we're doing on this side here, we've got our yarn in the pots. We've got about 1 cup of soak into the pots as well. On this side here, I went with basically a straight brown, a little bit of chestnut, things of the sort, a little bit of tan. Just kept it really, really nice and light and airy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw some sprinkles on this side, actually. Some chestnut sprinkles. And a little bit later in the video, I'm going to show you those sprinkles close up. Show you kind of how they come through with the multitude of different colors that are in this chestnut dye, especially when sprinkled on yarn. But so on this side, we kept it nice and easy, nice and light. We've got that beautiful chestnut, little bit of brown, little bit of tan. We're going to cook it off, and then we're actually going to rely on bleeding. I really want that red dye to kind of bleed through on this other side, and that's what's going to create the color for this colorway. So rather than putting red dye on both sides to kind of get that cardinal effect, we're relying on the dye going into the yarn all the way through to the other side and kind of get some of those really, really light red hues on the other side. Red's one of those colors that's so hard to dye with. It just, red bleeds. It really does. And it doesn't matter how long you cook this stuff off. If you have a significant amount of red dye in any way, shape, or form in the pot, it just absolutely causes chaos. It really does. So we got a little bit of red on the one side here. We kept it nice and light. On the other side, we're going to go super duper dark. Oh, looks like I got a little bit extra. We're going to throw another splash in the pot here, just a tiny little bit. Cover up that white spot. There we go. Got it. So really, really dark red on this other side. And then we're going to kind of go in between the two, kind of a medium red towards the center. And this red is definitely going to bleed through to the other side. You're not even going to really see that brown dye in the finished product. It's basically all covered up by the bleeding of this red. And what this allows us to do is exhaust this red to the best of our abilities. We got a little bit of extra yarn in there that we can work with. Otherwise, these pots would be insanely red once we get them all rinsed off. So again, when it comes to reds, cook it. Cook it for a long time. Cook it for as long as you can possibly let it. And even then, you're going to get a little bit of bleeding out the other side. But with a nice good rinse, that red should fully exhaust. You shouldn't have any transfer onto fingers or bleeding out when you do your blocking or anything like that. But this is one that you've got to be super duper careful with. Yeah, so you can see there's just a tiny little bit of red that was left over there. Not a ton, and only in that really super duper dark spot. So time to get these hanks twisted up. First off, we're going to start with our fingering weight. So you can see we've got a little bit of that chestnut, a little bit of white coming through from that back side, but that red really just kind of powers through this yarn for sure, all the way through from start to finish. And just really, it gives you a nice little blend of darker reds with lighter reds without having to fight with that bleed through. Bleed through is a huge concern, especially working with reds. The only other one I really struggle with would be like a sea breeze. It tends to not exhaust very well either, but yeah, reds are the bane of my existence. They really are. So this here is our DK weight, nice and pretty. Same as the fingering weight. It's an 80/20 merino nylon, super wash, of course. Next up, we've got our worsted weight base. Absolutely wonderful. One of my favorites to work with for sure. And I really noticed the DK weight and the worsted weight picked up a lot of that red. It really came through on those two bases. And then the chunky weight and the fingering weight kind of sit hand in hand. They're pretty even across the board. So Pretty cool, for sure, to see the differences between the different bases. Our worsted weight and our chunky bait are 100% merino superwash, 19.5 micron, extra super duper soft, and the chunky base here it's literally like working with a mop. It is just super duper heavy when it's wet, and then once it dries, it's a fluffy cloud. It really is perfect for your hats and your mitts and your gloves. Absolutely love this colorway and this base. I really do. Get your ends tucked in, as always, kind of cleans everything up. There are always going to be at least a couple ties on a skein, but you kind of tuck them into the skein there, they disappear, and it just keeps everything looking nice and clean. So up first, we got our fingering weight base. Beside that, we're going to toss this DK weight, and you can really see the difference between the two. That red just kind of blows you away on that DK weight. Normally the DK weight is quite a bit lighter, but for reasons I don't really understand, this one just grabbed it, held onto it, and it looks beautiful. I love the richness of that red. The worsted did the exact same thing, so we've got some nice, deep, rich reds, and you can kind of see those sparkles, or those speckles coming through across the top of this skein. That's the chestnut speckle, which kind of comes through as a blue and a purple and a brown and a tan, and it's got all the feels for sure. Over onto our chunky weight base, you can kind of see them same speckles across the top, and there's one of those blue flecks that I was talking about. It does happen. They are in there. They are few and far in between, but it's kind of cool because when I think of brown and chestnut, I don't really think of blue and reds and purples and all that other stuff. So to see those really come through on the different bases is absolutely awesome. Into the swatcher. That's what I'm going to call this machine, of course, the swatcher. This thing is generally used to make hats. It is the 44 needle Addy Express with a power drill, which I highly don't suggest, but that's what I do, right? Modify it, use it to the best of your abilities, and then tell everybody to do as I say, not as I do. Please don't use a power drill on your Addy Express. It generally won't end well. But look at this colorway. Absolutely beautiful. I'm not seeing some splotches or anything like that. Everything's kind of holding its own. It is a highly variegated yarn, which I wasn't really expecting considering how I dyed it, right? One side chestnut, the other side with that red, and everything just kind of blended really nice. So let's get it onto the Swift here. Nice and big. This is our DK weight base, which has 2 ties on it. This tie right here, which is attached to nothing. It's just attached to itself. And then on the other side, we've got the 2 ends of the hank plus the tie. Now, I have completely lost one of my ends. It's here somewhere. I know it is. This one is definitely the outside of the skein, so that's good news. And then somewhere hidden in behind, I don't know where it is. You know what? It doesn't matter. I don't have to tie it up. As long as it's tucked in there, it's going to be just fine on the caker. So let's get this onto the caker. Get that twisted up and around. I'm not going to make you sit through this, but it is a soothing process to see a cake being made. I don't know why, but just kicking this thing up into high gear, it's running mock chicken and a half. Absolutely love watching cakes get made. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. So got this all done. We're going to slow this down here just a little bit. I love how this red and this white kind of play with each other, and then you got that hint of chestnut in the background there with those speckles, and it's cool. To be honest, when I first did this colorway, I was expecting a lot more brown to come through on the other side, and that's one of those things. People ask me, they're like, hey, do you ever have a colorway that doesn't act the way it's supposed to? And the answer is yes. Yes, all the time. This one was supposed to be half brown and half red, and it came out beautiful with all of its reds. So I get surprised all the time, and looking at this cake, you can really see all of these colors playing together. I love the richness of this red. Kind of reminds me of Saint Nick, which is reds and blacks, and you know what? This color pairs up quite nice with Saint Nick. I'm going to show you that next. So beautiful cake, nice saturation all the way through. We got those chestnut sprinkles. It is time to do those pairings. First up, we have Captivating Cardinal, of course. And then up beside that, St. Nick. Who would have thought, right? So we got that same red, then we got those nice dark charcoals in there. Absolutely beautiful colorway. St. Nick is probably one of my favorites. And my favorite Santa, of course, my favorite St. Nick would be Mr. Kurt Russell as St. Nick. And I think everybody's seen that ad on my Facebook and my Instagram. I've actually done a video of that St. Nick. Kurt Russell is amazing. Up beside that one, I have Firestarter, which we've kind of got the oranges and the yellows in there with some of the chestnut, some of the charcoal, and that same wonderful red that we're seeing in St. Nick and Captivating Cardinal. Up beside that, I have Bed of Roses. Now, this one here is very, very red. Everything about it is red. It's got some dark reds, some light reds, and I just feel that this one, it really pairs up really quite nicely next to the St. Nick. It's got a little bit of charcoal in it, not a ton. It is mostly a bunch of shades of reds, and it fits super duper nice. Up beside that one, we have Guide My Sleigh Tonight, which is chestnuts and reds, kind of side by side. And for whatever reason on my screen here, I'm seeing a little bit of green. That is not the case. This is definitely chestnuts and reds playing through all the way. And then up beside that, I have Pumpkin Spice, which is more chestnuts. And then we're moving a little bit more towards the orange side of things, which pairs up quite nicely with that Firestarter. But if you were looking for a fade, I think these five sit quite nicely with Captivating Cardinal, for sure. So let's go check this out. Oh, by the way, if you go to the website and you scroll down past the listing just the tiniest little bit, we have a goes well with, and right then and there you will see these pairings and these semi-solids on the website. So anyways, up first, Captivating Cardinal. Up beside that, we have Ruby Red, which is kind of pushing towards that same red. It is a little bit more on the bright side compared to the red that's in Captivating Cardinal. And then, of course, we've got charcoal up beside that. Reds and blacks, they really go quite well together. Christmas time, maybe a forest green going in there. And I really think that all three of these colors really pair quite nicely. Not necessarily year-round, but reds and greens, they scream Christmas, and that forest green is beautiful with that ruby red. So definitely something to keep in mind, depending on what you're looking for. Up beside that, we have maybe moving a little bit more towards the pink side, we have Dusty Rose. It pairs up quite nicely with the Captivating Cardinal and that ruby red. Up beside the charcoal, of course, I would go with Mouse Gray, bringing it a little bit to the lighter side of things. And these four right here, they hit so well. And then, of course, in Captivating Cardinal, we've got a couple of those chestnut sprinkles. So I think the chestnut really hits quite well. It's not necessarily a contrast, but it fits in there pretty nice. And like I said, we've got forest green as well, which pairs up quite nicely during the season. It goes extremely well with that chestnut, but if I'm only picking five, these would probably be the five I go with. So on to the big reveal. You can see those speckles. You can see that red. You can see that richness coming through in this colorway. I absolutely love Captivating Cardinal. And as always, there is a swatch available. Last photo of every single listing on our website. Go check it out. Big reveal, of course. There we go. A beautiful cardinal, a male and a female, with that awesome saturated red, chestnut sprinkles. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'm sorry I've been gone for a while. I'm back behind the camera. I'll talk to you guys again next time.